please welcome David Aird, MD for Investec Asset Management. David is responsible for retail and institutional business in the UK and Ireland, and also Sean Hagerty, MD Vanguard Europe, responsible for leading the operations and distribution efforts of the European business. You're very welcome, and I have a number of questions that I need to ask you, but first let's just start with this big question about disruption. Justin's just highlighted a bit about your heritage, a bit about Investec and Vanguard, both extremely well-known, respected players and big brands. So David, to start with you, why did you decide to partner with Vitality?
Well, good afternoon, Natasha, and good afternoon, everyone. It's clear from the off, Vitality are genuinely bringing something completely different. And we've seen how they've disrupted the life and health market. Now VitalityInvest are launching. We've heard from Herschel and Justin about the boosts and the discounts. And we just think that they are the only genuine insurer coming to the UK with real proposition to encourage people to save over the long term. They and I and we at Investec Asset Management, we share the same goals. We want people to save more, and we want them to save longer, and we want to give people a more dignified retirement. So we're perfectly aligned. The other thing that we should remember, as other insurers are shrinking their sales force and their advisor-facing client teams, VitalityInvest will have 250 professional people at their disposal engaging with the advisors, and advisors account for 80% of the industry fund flows. So we think their model is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, thank you, Sean. I'm sure you are going to agree with a lot of what David says.
I think so.
How do you think the three brands align?
Well, the thing about Vitality that is appealing to us at Vanguard, and I'm sure you as well, David, is that it is a purpose-oriented company. And if you think about being disruptive in the market today, it really starts with understanding what's the purpose of the company. What are you trying to do to try and impact people's lives and society in general? And that appeals to us in a way. As a global asset manager, we recognize that longevity is an issue that people need to be paying attention to today, that the way that people are accessing capital markets is an important component. And over now 40 plus years of investment management, managing trillions of assets, we recognize the value that the advisor plays in the management of a portfolio for an individual. And something innovative like this, something totally different, is something that was appealing to us.
You are both such big players already in the investment world. Why partner with a new player?
I think the savings industry is ripe for someone coming in and being genuinely disruptive, bringing new, very advisor-friendly, and bringing new product features and benefits to clients. I think in many cases the insurance industry has been asleep at the wheel for many years, and it's fantastic to see someone like Vitality to come in and disrupt. So yeah, well, they're a very genuine company.
Yep. The interesting thing is that Vitality, I think they're smart folks for thinking through not just the regular way you would approach an investment proposition. They are studying academic research in behavioral finance that does have a part at the center of a proposition. And I think that when you're looking at what's happening with this proposition, it is providing incentives, it is giving nudges, and it is incentivizing proper behavior. And so the concept of a health-oriented company, thinking about physical health and financial health, and thinking about ways to boost them by using now, relatively new to the world, but now pretty well understood behavioral economics techniques, I think is something novel and interesting for us.
How do you think the market's going to react to this new launch?
Positively. I mean, Vitality is obviously a well-known brand already in this space, and I think that hopefully together with our brands, together it will be something that people look at as new and innovative, and it will get a close look by financial advisors in the UK.
I think there'll be a few boardroom discussions tomorrow where people will be reading the press, and they'll be part of hearing about the news that's being launched today. And I think there's going to be some very quick product development initiatives taking place against VitalityInvest competitors.
What I found very interesting actually just with Justin earlier on was that this has been 2 years in the making. I mean, this disruption that you'd planned started a long time ago.
Yeah, financial services is actually, it's quite complex, but it's actually easy to describe. I mean, we're all here to make a positive difference, and we're all here to give people a more dignified retirement. But it takes a lot of time. I mean, I've been amazed at the granularity that Vitality has gone into to segment the market and really to get to know the advisor world and exactly some of the pitfalls, some of the objections, and some of the benefits that the advisors have been looking for that are not available in today's marketplace. So that's why it takes so long, careful planning.
And a lot of this is going to be about re-educating the consumer as well. How do you think that's going to go down?
And I think not just re-educating the consumer in terms of the way that they should be thinking about their investments, but the way they should think about the investment management industry and the financial advisors. Because I think that the common wisdom, of course, you come out of the global financial crisis, you think the financial services industry is transactional and short-term, and yet the investment management industry, and I think what Vitality's doing, I think what IFAs have been doing in the UK for a long time, is it actually has a long-term focus. And this is a really good example of a product that rewards long-term buy and hold investment management that we know is what investors will do best if they do that and don't think about just short-term gyrations in the market as an example. So I think it does require some level of education. I hope that what this does is it starts to change the perceptions to understand that our industry actually does think about what can we do for somebody's long-term retirement goals, what can we do during the long time period of drawdown, and how can we actually help them to achieve their financial goals.
So
what a concept to create a product that, whilst you're waiting for retirement, gives the saver some benefits along the way. I mean, just as the insurance and the health market has been disrupted by Vitality, by giving them incentives and boosts and bonuses and coffees and Fitbits and Apple Watches, fancy giving the investor a reward whilst they're waiting for their retirement.
So do you feel then, both of you, that this is just the start of innovation? I mean, you said a moment ago, David, that the industry was ripe for innovation and ripe for disruption.
I mean, for those of us who have been around 28 years as I have, I mean, looking back, the innovation that's occurred already, I think in the next 5 years, the one thing that we will all get wrong in the room is we'll underestimate the level of innovation coming.
That's a bit frightening though, isn't it, when you look at what the future might bring?
If that innovation allows the advisors to really engage with their clients. I mean, again, a product that engages with a client, keeps them interested, encourages them to save more, gives them boosts along the way to basically sweat their assets harder, I think is phenomenal.
And put it so simply, it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a no-brainer.
Well, it's not that simple, but if you're marrying two parts of your life together and it makes sense.
Well, the difficulty always is that we as an industry are fighting immediate gratification. And so there are a lot of forces in the media to say, buy now. And what we're saying is save more and invest for the long term. That is a very difficult message to get across. But I think it's actually innovative behavioral nudges and incentives that can actually turn that tide.
This is a nudge, but it's also a massive disruptor. How does it feel to disrupt your own industry to this degree?
Hallelujah, it's good. The industry does need disrupting. I think many of you probably know Vanguard at least a little bit, but we've been trying to disrupt the way people invest for 40 years by really pointing out that it doesn't have to be as complicated as people make it, that if you have a long-term outlook, if you actually stick to your knitting, if you keep your cost under control, if you save well, you can have a successful financial future.
And David, how would you judge this a success? At what point will you measure?
Well, we look at the success that Vitality have had in the life and health insurance world. I mean, they came here well over 10, 15 years ago. They partnered with some great people at the beginning, so they choose their partners well. So for us, success, and I'm sure for Vitality, but most importantly, Natasha, for the end clients, are going to be great outcomes for clients in 30 years' time. they're going to enjoy the boosts, they'll enjoy those discounts, hopefully they'll enjoy the benefits of active management, and they'll be able to have a larger retirement pot and retire with greater dignity.
And a last word from you, Sean. How confident are you that this is going to be a success?
I think that this program has a great opportunity to be very different in the marketplace. And therefore, I'd be confident in the success. How successful? Oh, who knows? I can't predict the future, and I think that we all know in asset management you never should. I can tell you that today there's a savings gap in the UK, and we know that there's also an advice gap. And so things that actually help consumers to start thinking about saving more, things that give tools to financial advisors to try and help their clients to be successful, the more we as an industry can think about doing things like this, then the more investors are going to say, you know what, I want to come to that industry, as opposed to, you know, perhaps staying in, low interest rate deposit accounts. I actually think that the UK saver is going to start to think about going out the risk curve a little bit. Wouldn't it be a great thing if they did so because they saw incentives in place from a program like VitalityInvest?
Okay, gentlemen, thank you both very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. David and Sean.